Okay, it is 8:32 p.m. Central Standard Time, Wednesday, February 17th, 2021. And welcome to week number 2 of Drugs and Crime. I'm Professor Richard Wright, and last week I laid out expectations for the whole course. Hopefully that you will have saved that so that you can refer to it when you need to, and hopefully you will follow those, because I just have news for you that at the end of next week we will be starting the second half of the course already. So I'll put it to you like I did yesterday with my class that I did the recording for. When we do complete week number 2, we will have completed 1/3 of the class, and then 2/3 will be completed after week 4, and then the final third after we complete week 6, which will be March the 19th. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay, and you can see, let me move that up there. You can see my recording. I hope you've had a chance to take a look at that on your own. Adversity is the springboard to success. Rubrics are located in each weekly assignment and also on the home page now. This is the link to the discussion post rubric, which I discussed last week in detail. And so beginning tonight, the 17th, will be on Wednesday nights all the way through until I think it's the 17th, the last lecture. You'll see. Okay, here's a recording. In case you misplaced your link, it's right here. You can take and copy and paste it, or either you can click on it and it'll take you to it. Okay, so now let's go back to the course calendar, which I do every week, which I hope you pay attention to, because it tells you starting Monday, this is your reading assignments. I emailed you the details on that. Your initial post was due yesterday, mandatory sentencing for drug-related crimes. Then your live lecture tonight, your reply post for mandatory sentencing for drug-related crimes. And then the 21st, your quiz, your weekly quiz, which is timed, as you know already. It's a timed quiz. You know how many questions, because last week's quiz was done, and you know that quiz and the written assignment. History of drug and alcohol related legislation will be covered tonight. Then your key word. There's the quiz again. And there is the live. So, and then you see we start the next day with week 3. As I said before, the last lecture will be the 17th. Then the course absolutely ends on the 19th. Okay. And that's when all your assignments need to be completed. If they're completed after midnight, going into the 20th, will not be graded. I don't care if it's a perfect. I won't even grade it. I'll just I do something in the grade book that makes it so as if you haven't done the assignment. The assignment will be there, but as far as calculating your grades, it won't. It'll be showing a 0. Okay, so be sure to be aware of that. Don't forget it. Every week I go over that, and the reason I do that is because I have seen students come even with doing that, and they will tell me, "Oh, I thought that." So no, And then it is important to come to the lecture so you can listen to the content and get it. So there is something that happened the other day that I'm still trying to get to the bottom of because it didn't add up. If you get the key phrase and you know somebody that's in your class that did not come and you give it to them and I find out, that's a violation of academic integrity and the policy, because somebody got it and they either weren't in the lecture, but they got it right before I posted it. Before I even converted and posted it, they had it. If I find out that a student did it, and it's pretty easy for me to determine, because if I know who was in the lecture, that means that one of the parties would be guilty, and that's not a good thing. Everybody should either listen to the recording or come to the lecture. All right. So we talk about academic integrity and things like that. We discussed that last week. So here is the week 2 announcement, one of them. The other one I'll show you in a minute. The history of legislation regulating drug use and abuse. Read chapters 5 and 8 of the textbook. I sent you the PowerPoints for that to study. Regulation of drug precursors, regulation of synthetic drugs, Freakonomics of crack dealing. We're going to listen to that. I'm going to put that on for you today and during this lecture. And if the quality isn't so good, you can go back and look at it again yourself. And then federal drug activity laws, those are things you can do yourself as well. Reminder when lectures take place. Discussion assignment, again, the topic, mandatory sentencing for drug-related crimes, gives the due date as Tuesday, which was yesterday for the initial post, and Saturday for the reply post. And then your written assignment, history of drug and alcohol-related legislation and policies, and then complete the quiz. All are due Sunday, this Sunday, which is the 21st. And then you know about my motto, adversity is the springboard to success. Here is the rubric for this week. Okay. And the entire rubric is in the module. It cuts off when I do the recording. I don't know why, but when I show it without the recording, it shows the entire rubric, because I looked at it. So I don't know why that does that. So, okay, can't do the list view there. So like I said again, I don't know why it does that. But if I go back and I do the edit of the announcement, there it is. You can see the whole thing. All right. And so there's 4 columns. And then it tells you You get points for doing each of these things. Federal drug schedule and legality, 8 points total, but you must be over here. State and federal legislation, TS information literacy for 12 points. So that's 20 points. And then going all the way down, law enforcement policies, information literacy, provide credible resources. You'll discover that when I get into the actual assignment. Dave's sentencing, format for digital fluency, total of 10 points. Credible sources and professional language. Okay, so APA goes with that 4 points as well. All right, so you see that right there. But we're also going to go into the actual assignment itself. All right. So that's the rubric. So in case you really want to see it, there it is right there. Now, let's go into the module. Again, I remind you about the drugs and crime course guide that I shared last week. That'll help you with your coursework. I'm not going to go over that because I shared that with you last week. Your discussion posts, again, you're going to use the information that's here. And then you're going to do your first post. Discuss whether you agree or disagree with the 3-year mandatory sentence for Mary. And the question asked again is the mandatory sentence of 3 years appropriate for her crime? What impact does mandatory sentencing have on prison populations, including caseload and prosecutors? And then your reply post respond to a student with a different argument. Okay, so remember the first post is due yesterday. The second post is due Saturday, 11:59 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right. Now, the written assignment that you have, you use that scenario that I told you about last week. This is the same one. And then you're going to follow these instructions. Explain the federal drug schedule level that applies to each of the drugs that Dave uses. Describe what federal and state laws regarding the legality of each drug Dave uses. Make sure to identify what state you are referencing. Many people will reference their own home state or a state that they're very familiar with. Compare how today's state and federal legislation concerning drug abuse, illegal use, and alcohol differ from before 1996. And compare how drug law enforcement policies concerning drug abuse, illegal use, and alcohol use differ from before 1996. Identify how the state and federal legislation and law enforcement policies were prior to 1996 with impact on Dave's sentencing. And next, identify the difference in today's sentencing of Dave. And then you're going to make sure it's APA. Select the format for the digital resource info, graphic, brochure, or flyer. It must be, I repeat, it must be Word document. Okay. A minimum of 2 credible sources. A minimum of 2. That doesn't mean 2, a minimum. Me, myself, I would cite sources for information that I use that I know I got from someplace else. Why? because of the academic integrity policy. Cite your sources. And how do you do it? In the body of the document, not the reference page. You are going to have that, but you are going to include. So if you don't, you can have all the references and you have no citations, you're going to lose points. And you'll see where you're going to end up in a few minutes when I go over again one last time the rubric. Spelling and punctuation, I already explained all of that. And then make sure it's a Word document. Now, let's open up the rubric again. Do Sunday for 60 points. Here it is. Okay, so there are 4 columns. Again, I'm going to ask you, which column is it that I want you to focus on? The one on the far right, in the middle, or on the left? Type it in the chat box. I'll see it. Okay. And that's called mastery. There's a reason why. I'd said before, and I repeat it. I know there are some people who say, okay, I get it. Trust me, everybody doesn't get it. I don't care how many times I say it, they still don't get it. My goal would be to get my ROI. It's a business term. Anybody ever heard ROI? You know what that means? It's a business term. What does it mean? Anybody know? It's called, and you'll hear it someday, return on investment. ROI. Return on investment. What your goal ought to be is to maximize your return of your investment. Your investment is your time and the money that you spend for a good education. You maximize your return on investment by getting A's. Then the next is B's. And I'm not going to talk about the rest of them. But so that ties in with my point. When I look at someone who's in a grade paid master as opposed to emerging, who you think is getting the highest pay? Yes. And I hear students say sometimes, well, it's easy for you to say, ha, I've been in your shoes. I was a student. And we didn't even have technology. We had pencil and paper and pen and pad. We didn't have all of that stuff. I do have an advantage because I have what we call a photographic memory, but that's a gift that God gave me. But the point I'm saying is this, is that I have achieved success because I always started out with aiming for mastery. When you do your target shooting, you aim for the heart of what you're shooting at. I remember when I was in the police academy and they took us for training. What do you think that of the model design? We were told to shoot. You had the head and the top part of the body. What part of the body did they tell us to aim for? Anybody know? Exactly. That's called the mastery. And if you remember your targets, it's there. And that's exactly right. Some people say, oh, shoot him in the head. That's the smallest target next to the arms. But the mass, this is what I'm saying to you. What's short for mass is mastery. I'm not wasting your time saying what I'm doing. I'm trying to open up some minds. Thank you. That's my goal, is to get your mind focused and retrained so that you don't be an emerging student. That's a D student. A competency student, that's a C student. Proficiency could be a B student, but mastery is A. You want to be Dean's List people. You want to graduate magna cum laude or summa cum laude, but magna cum laude is the top of the line. You want to be first or tied for first. That's what I'm trying to get all of my students to get. So now that I've given you a system to think in terms of using that good gray matter that you have in between. And by the way, I've had students who have special needs, who had to have accommodations to end up in mastery. Time after time after time after time. Become master task oriented people. I remember when I was a kid doing the, and this is not off point, doing the dishes, not dishwasher, washing the dishes. If my mother found one dirty dish that I put away, you know what she would do? Anybody guess? That's it. That's it, Shenyang. That's it. Make you Shenyang. That's what I would do. But I say, wait, boy, you put the dirty ones and the clean ones in. I can't take a chance. So what does that mean? That means each and every one, you should be meticulous in terms of putting it together. Well, having said all of that, that's exactly what I'd be saying to you about your assignments. So to get the maximum number of points of 60, follow the column to the right. So for 8 points, exemplary explanation of the federal drug schedule. For each of the drugs Dave uses with thorough. Notice the difference. With thorough details. If you look at the next one, proficiency, it says uses with details. The word thorough is gone. And then in the next one, it says uses minimal details. And then the one in the last one says missing details. So you see where I'm coming from? Yeah. Get your mind thinking on thorough details. Don't shortcut yourself. On the legality of each drug per federal and state laws. Student, you identify the state. So each of you could have different states. Like I said again, you could use your own home state, or you can use a state that you work in or that you're very familiar with. Like here in Illinois, people might use Indiana because they're close to Indiana, or they might use Wisconsin if they live in another part of Illinois. Or if they're far west, they might use Iowa because they're next to Iowa. In the South, they might use Missouri, Tennessee, Kentucky. So that's the point I'm saying to you. And be able to use those. All right. And it goes all the way down Once again, pay attention to the language. Exemplary. It uses the word exemplary at every time. Comparison. Today's state and federal legislation concerning drug abuse, illegal drug use, and alcohol use. Okay, look at what it says. Here we go. Is that thing, credible sources. I already told you how to provide credible sources concerning this issue. The law enforcement policies. Once again, exemplary. Today's law enforcement policies. And thorough. There it goes with the thorough. Thorough supporting details from, once again, credible sources. See that S in there, not a credible source. And then finally, you get down here to dealing with the 10 points for Dave's sentencing, and you see the same routine. And then formatting and content and all of that. I'm talking about, this is the content, this is the formatting. Some students have already said to me that there's some formatting issues when they submit their papers. Don't worry so much about it. There's some glitches in the system that we have now. And boy, if you think there's glitches now, wait till next quarter when we get into the Ultra. We've all been doing training as professors. I just completed my training a couple of days ago, and I'm trying to figure it out. The best way we're going to figure it out is by doing it. So anyway, for 10 points, there we go again. Credible sources are cited in APA format. What does that mean? APA citations along with references. Professional language, so forth, no spelling and stuff like that. And if you take what I said just this time on this rubric and apply it to every rubric, you'll do what I had one student last quarter in one of my classes, I forget which one, I had 3 I was teaching, that got 100%. I didn't even realize he got 100% because I just graded his assignments and then I'd submit them, and then when I got ready to calculate my grades at the end, it said, what's the grade average? 100%. Now, if you miss that, I'm going to show you something that you will see. And I'm going to show it to you. When I grade your assignments, see if I can do it. Okay. I'll give you, I'll show you something on assignments that are not done yet. I'm going to show you something. I might not be able to do it. No, I can't do it on this. So I need to do it on Full Grade Center. Okay, so Full Grade Center. I want to show you something. Okay, let's say if I was going to I don't know if I can show you. No, I can't. I can't do it. No, I can't do it. What I wanted to tell you is that when you see the grades in your rubric, you'll see my comments under the bottom of each section. If you see a check mark and you don't see any comments, that means you did what the check mark said. But if you fell short, I will put a comment under it. That's how you see, because I have students time after time, they say, oh, I didn't see my comments. And so they're there. And if you ever want to want me to show you, then come contact me and I'll show you privately. Yeah, I can't show. I wish I could. All right, so any questions about this assignment for history of drug and alcohol related legislation and policies? Okay, no questions? I guess not. Okay. Then your quiz, set for 30 minutes. And you know how that works. Again, I recommend studying the material and studying what I show you with your practices before that. And then your live classroom phrase that I give you. All right, so those are the assignments. Let's talk about the information that we have here. So we're going to deal with just a little bit of this, a little bit of this. Then I'm going to let you see the freakonomics of drug dealing, which is kind of hilarious, but really real. Then you can do the federal drug laws activity. So as we talk about drugs like marijuana, cocaine, and heroin, which grow, meth or methamphetamine is manufactured or cooked. And when cooking that, you use, as it says here, common household products and chemicals. Paint thinner, acetone, anhydrous ammonia, iodine crystals, red phosphorus. Listen to this, drain cleaner, yes, and battery acid, lithium taken from your batteries, pseudoephedrine or ephedrine, using cold medicine. Now what I'm saying is that they take that and make that like a stew or a soup and cook it. And what it does is it turns it into a rock that can be snorted or smoked or broken down in injection with a needle. And it's very, very dangerous. I was the village attorney in a town called Ford Heights in Illinois, which was called the crack cocaine capital of the south suburbs. There were many fires that took place in the houses because they were used for cooking on the stove. These meth or cocaine. And there were explosions that took place. And oftentimes, as it says here, there are labs that are in cars and abandoned buildings and in roadside ditches. And then people put that in their body. No wonder you act crazy when you get that in you. So there was laws passed to combat methamphetamine called the Combat Methamphetamine Act of 2005. And the purpose for the act was basically to control the distribution and sale of items that would be used to make meth. So you had to find these things locked in a cabinet or behind the counter at drugstores or stores. And you had to show identification, sign, and then if you were buying huge volumes of it, you were buying it because you were a cooker or a dealer. And so it has slowed down meth labs, but it hasn't eliminated them. And then it finally says here at the bottom, the Mexican drug trafficking organizations have become the primary manufacturer and distributor of methamphetamine to cities throughout the United States. So they have these organizational cartels that manufacture it and distribute it on the streets, utilizing individuals and gang members who do that. Okay. So we decide to try to regulate synthetic drugs. Again, back to what I said, they're manufactured and they're not grown. And you come up with things like K2 or spice. Actually, here's some pictures of that stuff, and you can see it. You've probably seen it at some gas stations, some corner stores. They look like candy, but they're not candy. But they are extremely, extremely, extremely dangerous to your health. Can cause you to have a heart attack, a stroke, pass out, seizures, vomiting, hallucinations, agitation, and anxiety. And so it's oftentimes you can go in like 7-Elevens or one of those stores or in gas stations. And they're created in Asia and other countries, but brought into the United States. And one of the things that's attractive about these is that they cannot be detected in a drug screen or urine analysis. So if you're going to be, people get high with this. So people like to use them, but you're rolling the dice, creating a situation. So what has happened is that once again, we passed some legislation, the Synthetic Drug Abuse Prevention Act, which places, as it says, 26 types of synthetic cannabinoids and cannabinoids into Schedule 1 of the Controlled Substance Act. And at least 43 states have taken action to control one or more of these cannabinoids prior to 2010. And prior to that, no states controlled it. At least 44 states now have taken the step out of those 50 states to control one or more of these types of items. But they're still out there. You still see them. You know, you look at the picture. It looks like Christmas candy or some kind of candy, something you get in a bag of candy. No, you don't want that in you. Then there are these things called bath salts, which have nothing to do with taking a bath. These are made from plant food, air freshener, and things to trick people into thinking that they're okay. So people think that that's what they are, but they are ingested by you either sniff them or snort them, or can be smoked or taken orally. And it takes you on trips. Look at the things it says here: agitation, insomnia, irritability, dizziness, depression, paranoia, delusion, suicidal thoughts, seizures, and panic attacks. Individuals have done some crazy stuff. They talk about the two examples below here about the zombie attacks in Miami, where a naked man who was high on bath salt chewed on the face of a homeless man in an 18-minute video before being shot by the police to stop him. With astronomical strength because they're so hyped up. And there are others across the country. Some you may know in an area where you live or heard of. And so they keep passing laws to control these things. Notice every time you look up, there's some kind of reaction to it. But you know what, good people? I already said this before. And I heard the president say it that we have now, yesterday, other day in his town hall meeting, we need to rehabilitate individuals. We need to get people the help that they need. He said we don't need to be locking up people with drug problems and send them to long times in jail. I advocated that many years, still talking about it, because you're going to discover that law enforcement does a thing called deflection, where if a person comes into the police department with drugs, they're able to get help for that. We'll be talking about that in weeks to come, where people can run to the police if they have a drug problem rather than running away from the police, because then with these programs, what the law enforcement agencies will do rather than lock you up is to confiscate, of course, the drugs, but at the same time get you some help. Because would you agree that drugs contribute a great deal to crime? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I've said this, and you'll hear me say it 100 times in this class, it is the biggest crime, because people commit other crimes to support their habits. They're not bad people. They're sick people who use bad methods, but because they're sick and some of the things I just got through talking about, they don't make the best judgments and decisions, and therefore they're a danger to themselves, to their family, and to the community. And so when you lock them up, they get drugs in there. But the bottom line is that they don't, it's just like if you have some kind of illness and you need, what's it called? I can't think of it, what it's called. But when you need this medication and you don't get it and you don't get cured of the illness. I know it. I'm drawing a blank right now. I know exactly what I want to say, and it'll probably pop back up into my mind. But um, it deals with shooting something in you, or you taking some kind of pill to help you fight off illnesses. And when you take those, they build your body back up. Not the IV. No. It's called, geez. I know we call it that pink medicine that we give the kids to take when they got sick. What's it called? And then they tell you to take all the medicine, even if you feel better. I'm just drawing a blank on what it's called. So if any of you guys think of it, you type it in there. It'll help me. But the bottom line is this: is that you get this in your system, and it fights off whatever it is, the virus or whatever it is. It's kind of like what the shots that we're dealing with COVID will do at the same time. Build up your antibodies so that your body fights off. Well, it's the same thing. You take an individual and you lock them up and you don't give them any kind of treatment. No, not vaccine. No, it's another thing. What's this amoxicillin called? What's amoxicillin? That's what it's called. But what is it? It's oh man, it's one of those kind of things. Doggone it. I gotta check because this is gonna bug me. And you'll get my point as soon as I say it. Amoxicillin. Give me a minute while I look it up. Oh, here we go. amoxicillin. Antibiotic. Yeah, thank you. An antibiotic used to treat bacterial infections. Okay, so this antibiotic, what it does is you get well. If you don't take that antibiotic, I don't care how much rest you get, how much liquid you drink, how much cold medicine you take, you're still not going to get well. So you need that antibiotic. That's it. That's it. And so that's what we need when individuals are hooked on drugs. An antibiotic, something to help individuals. You'll discover Narcan. Anybody ever heard Noxolone and Narcan? Anybody ever heard of those? You ever heard of it? You will in this class. These are drugs that first responders and police officers carry, and a person who's OD'd gives them a shot of this, and it saves their life. Yeah. Okay. So we're coming to the point. I want you to do this on your own and then get that completed. So now I want to go and I want to put this video on. This is really kind of funny. I'm going to take off my headset so that you can hear it. It's about 20 minutes long, so it'll take us a little bit over. So I'm going to have closed caption on it. So I want you to pay attention to it. It involves some of the phenomenals that we deal with in terms of that. Okay, give me a minute. It's a TED Talk.
We'll be happy to know that I'll be talking about now trilogy, but I think it's tragedy class and destruction. So if you move a million tons, being drug dealer in the cocaine drugs like there's money, there's drugs, guns. I'm going to tell you today is that based on 10 years of research, and we happen to go inside casinos or books, the financial methods of the game. And the answer to that optimal value time I understand. I think more realistically, the being to sell drugs for a game is perhaps the most job. That's what I'm just considering. So three things I want to do. First, I want to spend time in sometimes you get such a crap the loud influence now sometimes. So I want to tell how something like me can tell and the second one I can see what games is interesting stuff with it. And third, I want to first of all about something to try various the third one, just one, which is that this presentation is going to be personal association. I'm just talking about the type of things and what that was. And if there's a stance on the development now, I thought it would be very moving. I'm expecting one more conventions outside. So, okay. So let's start by talking about practical and how to install it. Now, I do look at what's around the back of the videos. I thought it was such a game. Because I'm not game now. You know, so I was into The thing that really makes the gang seem like McDonald's is its franchises. The guys who are running the local gangs, the four street local gangs, they're just like the guys, except it's for the gangs. They have the entrepreneurs, they have the exclusive property rights to control the drug sale, they get the name of the gang, they have for merchandise and all that. They're the ones who basically It's not, all the just a couple of teams, it's like the most experimental in the measurements. It needs calories. This is what I'm saying. I don't tell you nothing over time. Because I want more return some of them. That's the best thing. The relation is a lot of chance. That's good. Another booth, the most of the words breaks down. The one that's focusing. Why is it such a bad job? The reason it's such a bad job is because somebody's singing on you. Okay? So you're singing on you. How do you go? Okay? We found another day. This is not some small situation. This is about transference. It's just so much like successful. So, but definitely, like the amount of stuff, something goes on. But hopefully, also the 7% frequency. And again, for finals, we're starting to what is a bonus one of this information? So, for comparison purposes, let's think about four statement and service. But that's all the rule of learning. And that's something something that's known. The benefits of that growth all parts of full execution. Check this out. So, it's a rock solver in the next row, and there's someone else out on the street. Okay? It makes you feel like there's some chaos. That's how the best of stuff like that. This is trying to get perfect. To give you a sense of just how bad the consumer has done, it's like, all my talk about, all my fucking it's not the world and all stuff going on. If you look at the book, it's just the recognize that on the outside of stuff. The back notes, drink the without one, so it's just it's just a title. It's like, put it in the front. If you compare this to sizes in the world, that's it's like a matter of that. So it's like now, matter of that. The lower work in the lower to this concept, wherever the horizon, then it's like something the sentence now. So, whatever the world is, when you know, and understand all the stuff that some of us is not fucking at all, and it's not for some sort of matter of stuff. I don't know. And I think there are different reasons. I think the first one is when there's it used to be the balance of our cases, but the other people could say the time, but those are the ones that we talk about. So what happened is, the people who really begin the whole case in the market, particularly further amount of time, mental health habits, it's like the new world. And so the logical thing to think was that when the next generation, so not only that generation, the next generation is going to come out of that. There's still a generation back to the world. Like the first set of people saw that that Zana went. And all our friends. So we were watching that they went too. And then we're able to find some responses from those. And it doesn't hurt the world. It's all about trying to help. To the same way, people are really it's like, I don't really understand the world. Just like so, in the world, the safety of life, I understand the world. I'm not answering to the time. It's not like I'm but I know that in those days, there's a lot of arguing happening. Because the same people have all the information from the right to the left are struggling with information to the right way. They never can figure out the world. So anyhow, let's talk about 2 hours of the social media. It's not like a disaster. Everything about it is very important. That's good. That's fine. So since everything we're doing is the main areas that we're dealing with but the severe examiners as a reality, so now, I don't know if that's our best one, because I'm going to find the one that's a growth. I don't know anything about it, I don't know what to tell you. As part of the main areas is the capital. And then, I think because the same way that we get to know so for example, none of those actually are true. But we're aware of the goals. But then, the thing that determines our things that are so far away from the
Okay, so as you could see, from a professional perspective, I told you I was the village attorney in a town that was the crack cocaine capital, south suburbs. We had the gangs out there. There was constant shooting back and forth. The point of this video is to have you to understand the realities about what happens in urban areas, is that individuals are willing to put their lives on the line to deal this crack. And remember, crack cocaine, um, the cheapest. And as they said, you could get high on it, but it was a short period. When I was in the academy, in our training, we talked about the effects when a person takes crack cocaine for the first time, is they reach a level of highness that they never had, and then they spend the rest of their lives trying to achieve that. Well, you don't get there. So what do? They increase the amount, and then oftentimes it increases so much that their heart, literally like a balloon, explodes. I've said this before. I have a sister who passed away years ago in '94, and she overdosed on crack cocaine. And that is exactly what happened to her. It was a very, very cheap high. So now today, we have that same phenomenon going on with opioids, and individuals are spending money to get these pills and things to reach a new high. And so this is an example of how it's a business. It's a business. Well, how do you cause a business to go under? What causes a business to go under? Anybody know what causes a business to go under? No ideas? When there's demands aren't met, or how about this? When there is no demand for the product. When there is no demand. Why is it that a lot of big box stores are closing left and right? Chain stores. It's because people are ordering online and the internet. And so it's reaching the stage that there's more demand or more online shopping than getting to these big box stores. Only a few of the stores are strong, like Walmart, Sam's, and places like that. I noticed something very interesting in our area. Aldi's is expanding, and they're building more and more stores during this pandemic. Well, if you know how Aldi's operate, it makes a whole lot of sense. But the point of the matter is that that's the same issue that deals with drug dealing, is that if you get people well and cured, then they won't go and buy this stuff. Therefore, it will go away. So that's why, you know, what happens is that they didn't tell you this part, is that what some drug dealers will do is they will extend you credit where you can get a little bit, and then you'll want more and more and more, and then you'll do whatever it takes to get that, such as commit a crime, or either you will work for them and deal it. And when you deal it and you use it, one of the worst things is a dealer who uses. You're trapped like a spider traps a fly or any other insect into their web. And so you destroy yourself and you go down. So these are part of the issues that we face as we continue to study drugs and crime. And be aware that the title of this course, Drugs and Crime, make it quite clear that they go hand in hand. Drug use leads to crime to support the habits. And activities like joining these gangs in these situations where you get some blingage, and it's all self-destructive, and it comes down to it. So, well, anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to give you a key phrase and then let you go. We went a little longer because I wanted you to see that video, but that's a very interesting video, and you learn some very interesting things. By the way, that project that he went to, excuse me, I used to long time ago date someone who lived in that project, and they knew me. When I'd go there, they didn't bother me. Hey, the young attorney, that's what they called me, the young attorney, because it was like about 1980, so 2 years out of law school, so I was about 30, and this young lady was a Chicago Bears cheerleader, and she lived there with her mother, but they would watch my car and stuff like that. But it was very dangerous going up in there, and it was pretty nasty too. You had roaches and you had urine in the halls, and oh God, and dudes would be getting high. They'd having their little meetings. But anyway, it's pretty dangerous. So, any suggestions for a key phrase? I already know the one I'm going to give you. Any suggestions? Nope. Nope. How about what you just got through seeing? That's the first part. What's the second part? There you go. It's crack cocaine. You got to give me both of them, not just one. No, just give me one. Crack cocaine will get you your points. All right, guys, I'm going to see you next week. Stay warm. It won't be as long, hopefully, next week because I'm not going to spend the time going over the rubric again like I did tonight. I think what I gave tonight and was combined with last week should get you through the next 5.5 weeks. Do you agree? Okay, good, good. Because that was my goal. I spent a lot of time on that rubric because I get tired of grading papers and seeing little simple things that are not viewed correctly. I don't like to see people live beneath their privileges. I just don't like when I know you're capable. I know if there are people who have bases they can't understand. Okay, like I have a son who he has some special issues and needs, and we have to communicate with him in a certain way. But we understand why. But you guys don't have those issues. Um, and so as a result, at least most of you don't, and you understand clearly, but unfortunately, you got a job, you got kids, and other things that interfere with your life. Join the ranks. This is what a person looks like who has the same things. As I move closer to the camera. But that's my point. Just if you move close to your camera, you'll be talking about yourself. You look in the mirror, you're talking about yourself. So now what you have to do is just follow the yellow brick road. I lay it out for you pretty well in my courses. So good night, guys. I will see you next week. Stay safe and stay warm. See, have a good one. All right.